everybody. Welcome to episode 12 of the Cucco Attack. It's been about 6 months.
6 months, I think.
6 months since we did this last. September, October, November, December, January, February, March. So we're in April, 7 months. Anyway. um, yeah, we have been doing a lot of nothing as far as the podcast is concerned until recent. Um, I was sick for a while. There was holidays, and then there was just a lot of laziness on my part. Patrick has been ready to do this for a while. Um, kind
Yeah,
of,
but you have a kid and you actually go do sports and stuff, so
yeah. I mean, it's tough to like. I don't know. The last couple months, I've just haven't really been into gaming as much as I would like to have been. Just for various reasons, I just haven't had that desire to sit down and play a game. Um,
and it only took a pandemic and plenty of free time in order to get back into gaming.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think the last thing I actually played before the podcast, even like up until recently, was Link's Awakening. I went through Link's Awakening and then kind of took a break for a while. Just I still played games, but it was just here and there. Like I'd boot up Mario Maker for a second, or I'd play Counter Strike for 5 minutes, or just something, or I'd mess with the arcade machine. That's something I did since this podcast. I'm actually going to
True.
show it. I restored a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade cabinet. So that was a big project there in the end of the year. I think I bought it in October and then finished it up in December when all the artwork and stuff came. Now I screwed my video up. So,
In
but
case you have forgotten who we are since it's been so long, I'm Patrick Hughes speaking here, and our co-host there is.
Chad Hebruck. So let's just get into this. What have you been up to? I've already gone over what I've done and the reason why the podcast has died for the last 6 months. And yeah, what are you up to?
Yeah, I was able to get through a lot of my backlog in December and January. It was pretty chill, so I did play a lot of games back then. But we won't dive all the way back because otherwise we'd be talking too many games. But probably the one game we both started playing around February because of the anticipation for the new Half-Life Alyx for VR. We
Yes.
both dove into Half-Life 2 again for
So
old
good.
times, nostalgic sakes.
I even went back and played Half-Life 1
Yes,
in
I did not go
Source
that far.
Engine. Yeah, I went because I'd never beaten it. I've loved Half-Life. I've beaten all the Half-Life, 2, Episode 1, 2, Portal, all that stuff. Um, but I never finished Half-Life 1 when it came out. I played it a little bit and then just kind of went right into Counter-Strike.
Mhm.
So it was nice to finally beat it because I definitely did not beat Zen.
And it's a fun game, so the
But
original was great too.
yeah, just getting
Yeah.
up to that ending point where I just kind of got stuck, I was like, all right, this is awesome and this is good enough for me. So,
And I had never played episode 2 of Half-Life 2
which blew my mind.
because I knew that episode 3 wasn't done, and I just never wanted to have that lingering, when's it going to be done? So
Yeah.
for the longest time, I just never played it. And now that the Half-Life universe, even though it's not episode 3, but it's still kind of been resurrected, I was like, all right, I'll see what this was now.
Yeah, well, that's what Valve told you to play episode up to episode 2 before playing Alex. That was something that they said to do before playing Alex, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But yeah, like that game was fantastic. I think it came out in 2007. That's when episode 2 came out,
Yeah,
and
I think that's right.
because I know it came out around the time I met my wife, and I know that because I remember her coming over and I was playing Portal, and I was like, "This is so cool," and I was like, hold on a minute, I gotta finish this up," and that was kind of bad probably to do with my future wife. I'm just kind of like, hold on, give me a minute, I gotta beat this. But I actually ended up not playing Half-Life 2 Episode 2 for like a year or two after it. Like I played it, but I never beat it. I don't know why. I think I got stuck somewhere. I think I got stuck on the part with the the antlion kings out in the field. You know what I'm talking
Okay.
about? Where you've
That
got to
like big open field, and
the two
then
big ones bust
two
out of
big
the
ones start
mines.
charging you. Yeah, and you gotta like find these explosives all
Yeah.
scattered about to blow them up one at a time.
So I think I got stuck there the first time I played it, and I just kind of I kept dying, and I was just like, I'm done. I got stopped playing, and then I just forgot about it. And then I remember my friends like being like, "Dude, you haven't beaten it. You got to beat it. What is wrong with you?" So I finally sat down and played it. This was like it was probably like 2009, 8 or 9. But I finally went down and beat it, and the ending was. I was so emotionally invested in those characters. Just I don't know why. Just that game hit me at like the perfect time. Like the Half-Life 2 game, it was like Half-Life 2 came out right when I started going to college, like real college, and then when I moved in with my friends, I played episode 1, and then episode 2, the orange box, everything came out. So it was just that like perfect time of like having plenty of time to do things and play video games, and
Yep.
it was just the story was just like blowing me away the whole time. So, spoiler alert, I'm gonna say it. When Eli Vance was murdered, I literally jaw dropped and was like, "He's dead? What the hell? Like, how did this happen?" Or like, not how did it happen, but like, what the hell? And then it shows
what happens now.
and then
Yeah.
Alex goes and is crying, and Alex is such like your secondhand character in the game throughout the entire game. She holds your hand pretty much and runs you through all these different areas, and it like literally brought a tear to my eye, which was insane. Like I couldn't remember the last time, if ever, a video game did that to me. Just the cinematics of it. It literally brought a tear to my eye. I was sad. I felt horrible for Alex watching her father get killed right in front of her, and then that's it. That's the end of the episode, and 15 years later, we still we just got a new Half-Life game that was not episode 3. So.
Yeah, that is just a mean cliffhanger to end on and not give any resolution.
It was just so good. Like the ending of that game was just didn't expect it. It was like the biggest cliffhanger in gaming.
The only comparable cliffhanger I can compare it to would be Beyond Good and Evil, because that had just a strong kind of emotional cliffhanger too. I guess I'll say spoiler too. Yeah, like it's a post-credit scene. Like you save the planet, everyone's happy. You stop this evil alien race that was like infesting everything, and then in the post-credits, your Uncle Peach, the pig person, who's like your uncle and kind of guardian figure throughout the game, you've rescued him, and you find out that he's actually infected, and the only cure was destroyed in the like aftermath of saving the planet, and you're like, well, now what? No, Paige, you're infected. What are we gonna do? How are we gonna save you?
That's
it
like
just ends.
That's like Will Smith's dog getting infected in I Am Legend, and he has to murder him right there. Dude, talk about tearjerker.
Yeah.
Didn't care about any of the people getting infected, but as soon as that dog had to get killed, oh, terrible. Waterworks. But yeah, man, like, so that Half-Life 2 has just always been that game that, like, I don't know, I bought a new computer for it because I was so ready to play, mostly for Counter-Strike Source. That was my big thing because I saw the Source engine. I actually had the beta. They did a Counter-Strike Source beta launch if you pre-ordered Half-Life 2. So I remember pre-ordering Half-Life 2, and then I talked to a couple friends, and I was going to community college at the time when Half-Life 2 came out. Or like it was right before I went to UMBC and moved away. But they this guy I was in class with was a big Counter-Strike fan too, but he didn't have it pre-ordered or anything. And I got up in the middle of class, and he's like, "Where are you going?" And I was like, "Counter-Strike Source Beta comes out at noon. I gotta get home." And he's like, "No!" He was so blown that I had the beta. So, but yeah, just like I bought a new computer at the time. I think it was like what the hell did I buy? It was probably like some AMD system. That's what I've always ran. And then I bought a 9600 XT ATI card, and I ran that. Like I bought that so I could play like Doom 3 and everything before that I have is garbage as far as my PC. That was probably one of my better PC builds I ever made. But that was also at the time when I had no bills and lived at home, and every bit of money I made I could blow on useless stuff. It was fantastic. So, but yeah, that game is just awesome. So, but Half-Life Alyx.
Replaying the game.
Go ahead.
Last two things I want to say.
No, go ahead.
Replaying those games, it still holds up today. It's an amazing game.
Oh, absolutely.
What really stood out to me is just how phenomenal the world building and the sound design is in Half-Life 2. It's just so good.
Fantastic.
The sound effects are just so classic, and they still hold today. And yeah, watching the trailer for Half-Life Alyx, hearing those sound effects, it's like, oh my gosh, you're home again.
Just like that.
Please tell me about Half-Life Alyx.
So before we do, like, just to comment on what you're saying there, like, just the little details is what makes Half-Life so good. Half-Life 2 had, the Source engine was like, so much stuff was you could interact with. You throw a grenade and anything in the room just blew up, and you went with it. You could pick up cans, you could pick up briefcases, you pick up trash on the street.
Throw it at the guards.
And throw it at the guards, and that's something I want to get at too, because it's like that beginning scene is like they've built into the AI that all those guards, they're not going to take your. So, so you throw a piece of trash at them. Like you hear that, get back here, and then you hear the club come out, and you hear it later. Like everything was just done so well, and then. And like when the grenades would go off, you'd get that buzzing in, like your aftershock buzz. But like if you're playing the game wearing headphones or something, like you hear that high pitch and it just fades away, and it's just done so well. It feels like you're a part of that world. So, with that said, though, Half-Life Alyx was phenomenal. Like, I've always been skeptical of VR. That's always something that I've been like, I don't know, like, VR, I don't know what it's going to be like, I don't think it's that great, blah, blah, blah. But then I tried, we went to Jake's house and we tried out his Oculus, and I was like, this is really cool, but the only way I'm going to appreciate it is if I get one. So I bought an Oculus years ago. I've talked about this before. After getting it, I really liked it. Playing, Robot Recall was one of the games that was very well done, kind of like an on-rail shooter, like House of the Dead, something like that. But Beat Saber was like what sold it to me. Beat Saber it's just done so well in VR. You feel like you're there. It's a very comfortable game, so you're not getting motion sickness. Like I played Project Cars the day I bought the thing, and I like almost threw up, and I felt sick for the rest of the day. So that was my biggest issue with VR after doing that, was motion sickness. And I really haven't played much more other than like, I've played some golf simulators, and I've played like the roller coaster simulators and stuff like that. And some game where you like blocking pucks like you're a goalie, which is all cool and they're very comfortable. But I was always afraid of playing an intense game like Half-Life Alyx. So one of the things that Half-Life Alyx gives you the option to is to play in what they call blink mode. And blink mode is what they use in Robo Recall. If you've played that.
Like teleporting movement.
Correct. So so you teleport, which is it's funny because I did play this. There's like a fan made game in Steam called Portal VR Stories. It's like a fan made VR Portal
Yeah,
game.
yeah. I think you let me try like a level of that.
Yeah, and it's really cool. I mean, it's really short, but it's probably like 15 test chambers or something like that. But it's kind of the same thing. Like that's how you move in that game.
Hmm.
So for Portal, it works great. You zoom over here, you shoot your portal, you zoom there, you drop your item in, and you figure out the puzzle. Um, Half-Life Alyx has that same feature. So initially, I did use that feature, but when you get to battles, it's kind of hard if there's more than like one thing going on. If you need to run away, there is. So the way it works is your left stick would be your movement, just like it would be on a controller. But then your right stick would turn you like 90 degrees.
Hmm.
So you can do a quick turnaround. Obviously, though, you can move your head as well. Depending on how your VR setup is, it just really depends. So I have two sensors, no sensor behind me. So if I turn like this, if I turn like, oh, I unplugged my headset. But if I plug to like a point where I'm like 180 around, I can't see the sensors I have for my Oculus.
Right.
So what happens is my hands pretty much just fly away, or they start glitching, and I can't shoot the gun, and it just like on the screen you'll see a hand just doing this in VR. It's really weird, but but anyway, I was really afraid of the motion sickness. Playing in the blink mode, it was fine. First thing I did when I get into the game, you start on top of a roof, and it's like Alex's hideout, and you're looking around, and it looks like was City 17. Is that's what it was in Half-Life 2 that you have to
I think
escape
that's what
from?
it's called. Yeah.
So you're up there, and you see the people in like the blue suits and everything, the blue jumpsuits, just kind of talking and carrying on. And it gives you like just basics of like you could pick up items and throw them, and then you go talk to a radio, you start talking to your dad and stuff like that. So I don't want to get into like the whole story, but
Hmm.
just that's just like the intro. So you just kind of get a feel for moving around in this little confined area to go find your first mission to what you need to do. Um, but then like you get to the point where you meet up with your dad and his buddy Russ, and you get gravity gloves, which is the replacement. It's supposed to be the prototype for the gravity gun because this game is a prequel to Half-Life 2. Um, it's the gloves work really well. You point at it and you'll get like as soon as you get something within your reach that you can teleport back to you to like grapple it, it'll get an orange glow to it. You click it and then you just flick it back and then you catch it. And you're doing this by hitting the trigger button on the Oculus. Um, but anyway, that's just kind of the mechanics. The guns feel really good when you're shooting guns because it feels like you're shooting a gun. You actually hold it up and aim it, and you know, you can get a laser sight at one point in the game, and that makes it much easier. Because before I had the laser sight, you're actually like I was actually trying to aim it, like I was looking down it. Um, there's ammo everywhere. You look around the rooms. You can go up and open almost every drawer in the game, just like the Source engine, but expanded because you can just pretty much grab anything in the room. There's a small handful of stuff that you can't pick up. Um, the combat is really good, but that's what I was getting at with the blink mode. So, kind of jumping all over the place, trying to figure out the best way to explain this. Sorry. So the blink mode, it works well unless you're in heavy combat. There's a couple times where I'd have two or three combine coming after me, and there was nothing I could do. Like if I was blinking, I was starting to talk about the controllers.
Hmm.
So with that 180, the 90-degree turnaround that I was talking about on the right stick, if you're in blink mode and you hit back, it would actually jump you back like 3 feet at a time. but you'd have to like keep clicking back on it to run away.
Right.
I didn't really figure that out until I died a bunch, because what I would try to do is hit back on the other joystick, and what that did was teleport me forward. So I would try to run away from a combine, and I would just warp right into him.
Hello.
Yeah, and then it was getting really bad. So I did end up playing in then another mode they have called continuous mode, which is essentially just like you're playing on any first-person shooter. Left stick moves you around freely throughout the world. The way I had it set up was wherever your head turns is the direction it would move you in. But I really tried to not use that. Because again, my setup's not very good for that. The way I did it was I used the 90-degree rotation. So I basically was just playing it with a controller. Right. But then it still gave me the free reins to look around. So I could look anywhere I wanted to. And, you know, it gives you that ability to shoot and the quick turnaround and the runaway and stuff like that. But every time I played that, up until like the last 2 days I played it, I felt like I was going to throw up. Like, I don't know why, but like it literally, like, I'd get this pressure on my face, and I was from my headset, but then I'd get real hot, and I just felt like I was going to throw up. It was the worst feeling. And that's what sucks about VR. Like, if this game, it took me, the game came out on the 23rd, and I beat it, I think I beat it last week. I think I beat it on like the 9th.
It's okay, about 2 or 3 weeks.
It took like 2-3 weeks to beat that game. And it was only like 13 hours, I think, is what I played it in Steam. So 13 hours. If this was a normal first-person shooter on PC, I would have had that beaten like the next day. Just because I wouldn't have gone to sleep. I would have stayed up late and just beaten it because I would have been so sucked into it. Yeah. And that's a shame because the game was fantastic. But I don't know how, like, I think about if they could have done it, and I think they could have done a lot of the same puzzles. It just would have been, instead of you actually doing it, it just would have been a button command that would have picked up the items, or like the gravity. You would just use your mouse to aim for everything.
Do you feel like it sacrificed like gameplay for immersion, or?
It's hard to say because it was done so well. Like the game,
like the immersion definitely took a step up for sure.
The immersion was amazing. The gameplay was fantastic. It was the best VR experience I've had. Like Beat Saber, I love, but that's a totally different experience. Like than Beat Saber is very, you know, just one-track Guitar Hero essentially. I mean, this is full world immersion. And it was just very, very, very well done. If you're a Half-Life fan, it's a must play for sure. It's a shame that you can't play it without VR, but if you play it, you're going to want to buy a VR system. Like it's no joke. Like you start playing it, if you're a big Half-Life fan, you're gonna want to finish it because it's just that good.
I'm really, really hoping like PlayStation 5 gets some new controllers and this somehow finds its way home there.
Yeah, I mean it's very possible. I mean they said they aren't ruling it out at the moment for a PSVR release. It'll
probably be another like 2 years, if it does. Come to that, but
I think the big thing I was afraid it was going to be exclusive to the Valve Index, which is Valve's VR system, which is like $1,000.
Yeah.
Which I think it'd be, you know, I'm sure it's great. You know, our buddy has it. I haven't checked it out yet because of everything going on right now. But it's supposed to be really good. I don't know how much better than an Oculus it is. The Oculus has some issues with like, I get like if there's like a dark screen, you can see the screens lit up in your eyes. So like you know you're looking at something. It's kind of weird. It's not like a true black like screen you're looking at. I know that the Rift Quest has the OLED screen that's supposed to help with that. So it might be better on that because you can use the Quest to play Rift games. You just have to use the link cable that they released for that. Because the Quest is an all-in-one unit that doesn't have wires, and it doesn't require sensors or anything like mine. Um, but you know, there's just little things like that, and then one issue I have with VR too is reading text is always kind of blurry. And if you look at, like, for instance, in Half-Life Alyx, it'll say like push trigger to continue, and it's typically on like a gray or a black background when it says that. And when I look at it, I get like lens flare off the white text, so it kind of like puts out this like halo effect off the white. And that's even if I, like, you know, clean my lenses, it doesn't matter. It's just, I think it's just the way that the light reflects off of the lens, the way that the lens is designed.
Gotcha.
So I don't know if that's different on any of the other VR units, because I've only played, you know, I've played the Oculus because I have it, and I've played the Vive, HTC Vive at when we did that Mario Kart VR
Oh yeah.
down in DC. So, but the game, though, fantastic. The ending, I can't mention it just because you haven't played it yet, and I don't want to spoil it for you. And
this one is still recent, so
yeah. And if you beat it,
yeah.
if you beat it, anyone that listens, you beat it, stay to the end after the credits. Don't skip the credits. Awesome. Like, it's so good.
So is Valve back?
Valve has proven that they can make games. Like, if they want to make a game, they can make a game. Like a good game, not just some card game. So it was awesome. I was so blown away. I mean, I pre-ordered that game the day they announced it. I went on Steam immediately and was like, boom, I'm so glad I have a VR system right now. 'Cause I have friends that have, you know, I have one of my buddies, you know, Mike, he's trying to look for a VR system right now. He's been talking to me a lot about, you know, recommendations, what to use.
Oh, cool.
And one of my other friends, he was like, man, I wish I had a VR. I'm so jealous you have this. You know, if I played it, that's gonna make me buy it. So he said Half-Life Alyx will be the thing that makes him buy a VR system, which is gonna mean he has to buy a new computer too.
Yeah, that's the main thing that's holding me back. Is like I don't really want to upgrade my computer right now. It's like
I mean,
I'm content at the moment.
Honestly, you can get away with running like a 1070, a 1060 or a 1070, which will probably run you like $200-300 for the video card.
And then the VR.
And then you gotta buy the VR. So you're probably looking about $700 if your video card can't handle
that's
it.
why I was budget when I looked at it. I was
do you know what video card you have now? Offhand?
I think everything was just slightly below the specs that it needed when I looked it up. So
Gotcha. Yeah.
I needed to upgrade everything pretty much.
That's the way mine was. Yeah. I really just needed the video card, and but then I ended up just building a whole new machine because I got excited when I bought a.
But then again, that's the same thing we all did with Half-Life 2. So
yeah,
it's
exactly.
understandable.
It all comes back when there's a game that you is gonna push the limits of what you have. You're all inclined to do what it takes.
I'm definitely inclined to do it at some point. I'm just kind of waiting and seeing right now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No reason to rush into it if you're not. If I didn't have the VR system already, it would have been a little, tough. But I probably wouldn't have, pre-ordered it the day it came out and all that stuff.
We did get that stimulus money though, so.
No. But yeah, so I mean, it's really hard to explain how good the game is until you play it. Like, and I know I completely butchered that segment, talking back and forth, but it's super exciting to play, and as exciting as it was, though, I'm glad it's over, just because I was literally getting motion sick like every other night because I can only play for about an hour. It was about an hour. It would make me sick, but then the last 2 nights, I got about a 2-hour session, and then I saw I was one chapter away, and then the next night I had another like 2 hour session just
Gotta
beating
finish it at that point.
Yeah, just going through. But I actually was okay after that. It wasn't as bad. I was a little nauseous, but I wasn't like there were some nights I was like, I gotta have some soup and lay down. Like I need something to like settle my stomach, like because it just is horrible. But I don't know, just play it, please. Do yourself a favor and play it. So good.
So there's one other game you've been playing recently. You actually streamed a little bit of it, and I jumped online to watch.
Yeah, so if you guys have made it this far into the Half-Life rant, we
timestamps to the video.
Yeah, we should have announced this in the beginning, but we've been trying to add some more content to the YouTube channel. This kind of recently started, and that's kind of what was like, hey, let's get another episode in. It's been a while, and you know, I'm actually playing games again, so it's definitely more fun this way. But we've been streaming live. Patrick has been streaming Chrono Trigger, which I've been.
He's been trying to get me to play for years now.
I met Patrick in like 2014 or something like that at work, and yeah, I've been bugging him since then. Like, you haven't played Chrono Trigger? How have you been such a huge fan? Super Nintendo is your favorite system, and you've never played Chrono Trigger. What is wrong with you? So, and I'm not even an RPG guy. Like, I am not an RPG guy at all, but I love Chrono Trigger. But we'll let Patrick talk about that. I actually jumped in, and he's been bugging me for probably about the same amount of time to play Toki Tori.
It's definitely not on the same level as Chrono Trigger.
No,
it's
not at all.
It's a game I knew he would love playing, so I was like, "Hey, come on, play it. You'll like it."
So there's a video up of me playing levels 2 through 3 or 2 through 4. I didn't beat 4. I just got to it. Of Toki Tori on our YouTube channel. So check that out. The game's it's a fun puzzle game. You're this little, like, is he a duck or a chicken? Duck? I don't know.
Duck, chicken,
something.
Bird. Yeah.
Yeah. He's
not really sure.
Yeah, he's this little bird, and you have to collect eggs in this little puzzle maze thing, but you get power-ups that are kind of like the power-ups you'd have.
You have like a finite amount of power-ups per stage. You can only have so many.
Yeah, like some might be unlimited, but then you might only have like one bridge building power-up or one block moving power-up or something like that. But the game it reminded me of Lemmings, just in the fact of having these little tools at the bottom. And as soon as he showed it to me, he told me to get it because I've just been putting it off. He's told me in the past, and I forgot to buy it when it was on sale. He messages me, and he's like, "It's 50 cents, Chad. Buy it. It's 50 cents."
And if I upload this video on time, it's 50 cents through April 23rd. Come on, everyone. You should get it. Spend some gold coins that you have laying around.
And that's what sold me on it. I was like, you know what, Patrick? Like, 50 cents, I would have bought it for 50 cents. But the fact that Patrick said, use your gold coins. And I was like, oh, yeah, I have all these Nintendo gold coins that I have nothing to do with. Let me do that. So, did it, immediately fired it up, and saw that it was, this little puzzle collecting game with, like, Lemming-style power-ups. I was like, this is really interesting. I'm very into this. I beat the first world, and I stopped, but then that night I started streaming it. He jumped on the chat, and he was helping me out. We were going back and forth on, like, what to do. He was laughing at me, I'm sure, a few times, because I didn't know what I was doing, and you'll see how dumb I am on some of these puzzles when I'm just sitting there racking my brain over something that's so obvious. But it was a lot of fun. I'm on World 4 now. I played it a little bit last night, got a little frustrated, looked up a couple of the levels just because I was just so stuck. I was like, this isn't going to happen. And that's something I've been playing a little bit as well. Outside of that, I haven't really played much. Just a lot of Half-Life in the last 6 months. Just trying to get through that, and then the Toki Tori. So let's move on to you, buddy.
All right. Well, as Chad mentioned before, we started streaming, and I started streaming Chrono Trigger for the first time ever after How old is this game? 25 years?
95, I think, is when it came out.
I think it's 25. Yeah.
95 or 96 is when it came out.
Yeah. And it amazes me how ahead of its time this game was. It is full of such amazing and creative ideas, like such a unique battle system, loads of like creative animations, really cool characters and world building. It's just wow, it is a really cool game.
The
So
animation of the characters is something I've always loved with that game. Just like the thing you did, the 80 was it the, no, not the 80-point game, the 40-point game you did where you have to like mimic Chrono in the tent. That is just so funny to me. Like his little laugh where he looks like he's got his mouth open and he's laughing and a surprise. And just that was just so cool.
And then the way they dance and stuff, and like
they had the dancing and like the prehistoric age stuff. All the animations in that game are fantastic.
Yeah,
the best by far.
The way the frog's throat expands and the way the girl just like jumps up with all her arms and legs in the air. It's just it makes you so endeared to every character in this game.
They're so expressive, but by far the best face though is the Chancellor when he drops his jaw.
Yes, it like drops all the way to the floor.
Yeah, it's so good. That's like the best animation they have in that game though.
Oh my gosh!
But the game's charming though. Like it's just so good. Like the robot rapping in the Millennial Fair.
Yes.
And I always sing it. You can sing the lyrics to the beat that's playing in the background. Like it fits perfectly. It's so good. And I always sing it like, my name is Gato. And I'm always singing that when I play that game because every time I start up the game, I play through the Millennial Fair. I go back in time, and then that's usually when I turn it off. So I know that part so well.
Yeah, like the Millennial Fair was really cleverly thought out, especially how it all kind of comes together for the court case scene afterwards.
Yes.
It's like, wow, every little decision really...
Everything you do in that game.
Yeah, that was a really cool moment. And
yeah, I was really looking forward to you getting to that part just to see what your reaction would have been. I was actually telling Vivi, I was like, hold on, Patrick says he's almost at the court scene, and she actually, Brody was going upstairs. He was climbing up the stairs to go to his room, and I like ran after him, and she was like, no, he's almost at the court scene, because I had it on the TV in the living room, and because she saw the courtroom, and she was like, no, come here, watch it. And I was like, all right, cool. So I ran downstairs and watched. She went upstairs with him, and I ran back downstairs so I could watch, you play that part because I knew you. As soon as I saw you play, I knew you were going to be guilty.
Yeah.
Just based
on
your
stole that
decision.
old man's lunch so many times.
It makes it so much more difficult if you don't steal his lunch, because when you're fighting Gato or whatever to get the points,
it's just so much easier to heal then.
Oh, because it heals everything. It's like HPMP restored. You're just a thief.
I thought I was like relatively nice throughout the rest of the festival, but apparently not.
Yeah, right.
The only good thing I did was help that girl find her cat.
Yeah, it's great. And then that impossible soda guzzling contest.
Oh gosh, so impossible.
The only way I ever beat that as a kid was with I had a turbo. I think it was like ASCII was the brand. It had a turbo button, so I just and I hold it down, and that's the only way you could do it. I have an SNES Advantage now that would do it, but that was the only way you could beat that thing. Like, it didn't matter. I've never seen anyone beat that, like just using their finger. I don't think it's possible, to be honest. Like I really don't. I don't know how you could push the button any faster than what you or I have done.
Yeah, nah.
You're always one can
I'm
off.
usually bad at those mini games anyways, so, but, yeah.
Yeah, but you're always like one can off.
Yep.
So.
But yeah, the game is great. I am absolutely loving it. Like, combat is really fun, like, getting into the flow of figuring out patterns and, like, how to attack and stuff, and combining your moves with your allies is really cool.
That's, like, my favorite part of Chrono Trigger.
Mm-hmm. The story beats are really great, too. It just, like, keeps pulling you along with just interesting kind of like beats that's like, ooh, wait, actually there's something else that we need to do, and it just keeps adding layers and layers.
Yeah. I know I said I wanted to watch you play it, so I didn't have to play it again. But after watching you play it, I want to play it again. And I almost fired it up, but now that you're like 12 hours in, 10 hours in, something like that.
I'm about 12 hours in now.
Yeah.
So.
Now that you're about that far in, I'm like, I don't know if I want to play that much right now. If I had it on Switch Online on the SNES app on Switch, I'd probably play it. But
yeah, I looked it up online. I think it's like about a 20-25 hour game. Okay. So
just over halfway.
I think we're about at the halfway point now, maybe a little past it.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot of what was going on yesterday. I don't remember a lot of that. There's just bits and pieces that I like I said, I beat the game as a kid. I remember like taking my Super Nintendo to my grandma's house while my mom was at work, and that's where I beat it. And the copy I had was my friend's. He let me borrow it. And he's found a bunch of his Super NES games that he had as a kid, and like the Mega Man X I have was his, and it actually had his name written on the back of it that I wrote on it. Like it was my handwriting from a kid. Like I wrote his name on it because he let me borrow it. And you know, so I have that copy. I have his Contra 3 because we did some trading. He wanted some, I forgot what he wanted, and I was like, well, give me this and I'll give you these. I think it was some GameCube games. I was like, here, you can have all these for, you know, the Super NES games. So that was when I was like hardcore into collecting. And but I always wanted his copy of Chrono Trigger because it had my save on it. Because I borrowed it, I beat it, I got the Rainbow Sword, which is like a special quest sword you get in the game, which I don't even remember how you get it. But I know you talked to an old man that told you about Rainbow.
I do remember that conversation with the old man.
I don't remember how you do it, but I did it as a kid. I think I had a Game Pro or something that kind of, you know, mentioned what to do. But I remember I did it as a kid. I had that. I beat Lavos, and I remember my friend, I don't think he ever beat it, at least as kids. I think he's beaten it since. But I remember calling him, like, you know, 95, 96. I was like 10, 11 years old. So I, like, called him up and was like, I beat Lavos! And he's like, no way, get out of here. How'd you do it? And, you know, just one of those kid moments where, you know, you're on top of the world because you beat a video game. So it was really cool. And the fact that was like I didn't like RPGs. Like I tried playing Final Fantasy, I tried playing Earthbound when I was a kid, and I just didn't like it. But there was something about, and like it's funny because I look back and I love Earthbound now. Yeah. Looking at it, just like the whole like concept.
Earthbound just has like good humor and like a quirkiness to it.
Yeah, but I think as a kid I didn't appreciate that.
Yeah, it's definitely, yeah.
There was something about Chrono Trigger that I think it was because I played it with my friend. Like he used to come over every single night when I was a kid, like every weekend. So I'd either go to his house or he'd come to my house. So we would sit there and play video games. But I think he started playing Chrono Trigger one night, and I started watching it, and I just was like, time travel? What? This is so cool. Like, it just sucked me in. Like, Back to the Future was like,
yeah,
you know, that was the kind of thing that was, you know, relating to me.
And yeah, that is such a cool concept that it plays so well in the game. Like, it really integrates into the story, into like the gameplay of like the world, and yeah, it's so cool. And then Chrono Trigger does have its own quirkiness, I should be fair too. That's incredibly charming. Like, I love how the time gates are all placed in like very unique and creative fashions. Like the prehistoric age, you fall down a cliff because it's in midair, or in the I think it was the medieval age, it's like in somebody's cabinet that you like bust out of. And
actually, that's the present time after Magus. The present time,
yeah, on the south side. That's right.
Yeah, that's the present time when Magus's army is taken over. So. But yeah, the game is just so good. It's so good. Like just the story and everything. Like I said, I don't even like RPGs, but like the triple attack stuff. Like when you got I forgot what it's called. What's the one you always use?
think it was a
lately.
triple finish.
Triple raid. I think it's what it was
Triple
called.
raid, yeah.
As soon as you got that, I was like, oh yeah, that's the one that's awesome. Like, you got to use that. And then I remember hearing you say like, oh wow, because like the first time you did it, you did like 700 damage.
Yeah, I was like, all right, this is my party for the rest of the game now.
Yeah, right. That's pretty much the way it goes. But and then like Robo with his like awesome laser attack, and yeah, that's those. Robo is my favorite. Robo, Frog, Chrono is pretty much what I've always used. I've always loved the X Strike with Chrono and Frog, Glenn, if you will, and yeah, that game is just, I don't know. I can't not love that game.
Yeah, when I finish this game, I will definitely be amending my top 100 games list. Probably even like my top 20 list. It's definitely going up, way up there. This game is pretty amazing.
So good. I love like it's just something that the Super Nintendo did a lot of, and that was a lot of the like massive sprite bosses.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like you have like the dragon tank is this massive thing. It's like the first really big thing you fight. You've got the skeleton. You've got that big demon that you fought last night with the two fists. Like huge enemies on the screen. And I mean, it's easier to do that in a turn-based setting because it's very subtle animations that it's doing. But
yeah, Square has always been like the masters of like really great detailed kind of characters, and then just going to town with like special effects and like spells that just like flash all over the screen.
Yeah, and I mean that's what Final Fantasy VII does, and that's why everyone's completely stoked for the remake right now. I don't.
Yeah, everyone's playing the Final Fantasy VII remake, and here I am playing this 25-year-old Super Nintendo game.
But it's better.
Probably.
I said it. I've heard it's really good. I've heard the remake's really good.
I want to play the remake too at some point, probably after Chrono Trigger, but Chrono Trigger has my full attention right now. I should say half my attention.
I have so many games I need to play like from Square. I have basically, other than Final Fantasy VII, I haven't played any Final Fantasy games.
Yeah, I mostly watch my siblings play them just because I can't really get into them as much. There's something about it that's just a threshold RPG to RPG for me.
Yeah.
With like all the items and random battles and turn-basedness.
And that's what I think Chrono does a good balance of. I'd say the only thing with Chrono that gets annoying is when you have to backtrack and you have to like refight the same enemies. Yeah. Like, I mean, but you can avoid a lot of the enemies too.
You can avoid it in some areas. Yeah.
So that's nice. It is good. I wish more games were like Earthbound, where you have the level up system and where enemies will run away from you because they know they're weaker than you.
Yeah.
I think that's a fantastic system that everything should implement. Just seriously, like there's so much time wasted fighting things that like what's the point of fighting something that you just got to hit A2 one time
and you'll get like 2 experience.
And you get 2 experience. So instead, Earthbound just gives you the experience, gives you the item they drop, and you move along. Like, it's the first time I played Earthbound and that happened, well, recently, because as a kid I didn't really appreciate Earthbound at all. Awesome. Like, that just blew my mind.
It is both a time saver while still making you feel empowered, because you're like, look, I'm so strong, they're running away, and I just, like, auto-win.
Well, then it makes you want to fight them, too, because I'll chase them down. They'll run away, and I'll chase... No, you get back here. I'm going to get my experience. So it adds that to the game. Like, I don't know. It's just very,
and it adds to, like, the tension when, like, enemies are chasing you. You're like, oh, gosh. Yeah, I should probably back up here.
Or they get you from behind and the screen goes red and you're like, no,
it's such a good
first attack.
Tug and pull kind of idea.
Yeah, they've done great. But as far as like, RPGs, I have to beat Earthbound. I have to do, everyone's told me Final Fantasy 2, Final Fantasy 3, well, 5 and 6, I guess is what it really is. Yeah. But I haven't played either of those. I need to. I have them both. They're both on the shelf over there. I just never played them. Hopefully they'll come to Switch Online.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's really what it is. I mean, I just don't want to sit in front of a screen. Although I did play Half-Life 2 in VR and a bunch of stuff recently. but it's just different. It's just
It
different.
all requires the right amount of convenience versus motivation.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. So go on. You had another game you're playing as well.
Yes, because Chrono Trigger is only taking half my attention. The other, which if you want to tune in for that, I'm usually streaming Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So, but they're all recorded too. If you miss an episode and want to watch and catch up,
do it. Subscribe.
The other half of my attention, of course, has been Animal Crossing: New Horizons, which couldn't have come at a more perfect time right now. It has been a saving grace for my sanity. Just chilling out, building my island. It's just the most relaxing game and also most obsessive game I could possibly have right now.
This is all you, buddy.
Oh yeah, no, like you don't know how much I am actually obsessing over this game. I've gotten to the point where I'm now researching online what villagers I want on my island, and then how to make my own custom amiibo cards so that I can recruit them onto my island, and then looking up what house exteriors they have so that I can properly arrange them on my island so that they look nice next to each other.
I will say I do like the fan community that's made like clothing and stuff, like custom clothing, custom items, like
awesome,
really cool. I saw a lot of stuff like like people put like record covers in their house, like hanging them on the walls, and
custom art. People made like sports jerseys and
stuff.
Yeah,
I saw the caps. The caps had there's some Caps jerseys, some NHL jerseys, and like people. Like I saw some people on Facebook groups I'm in that are like, look, I made myself, and they put a picture of themselves and then a picture of them in Animal Crossing, and it's the same shirt, same hat. So like I was like, that's really neat. It's definitely charming. I just personally don't think I would be into it. So, but I do think there's a lot of cool things you can do in it.
Yeah, you might be surprised. I don't know. I feel like it finds your hooks in some way, that something compels you or speaks to you. Like, ooh, I really like this aspect of the game, and then you just dive full into it. Like the fishing or donating to the museum or building that perfect house or landscaping your island or I don't know, just whacking your villagers with nets, whatever entertains you. It's just
I do enjoy seeing the pictures of the people that got stung by bees.
Yeah.
And they're like face all blown up.
Hunting tarantulas is so much fun in the game. Oh my gosh. It's like both terrifying and exhilarating, and it never loses that anxiety. Every time you see one, you're like, oh my gosh, I like scream every time.
I have a lot of friends
running.
I have a lot of friends who are playing it right now, actually, that I don't think you know any of them, but they've been posting their gameplay too on my Facebook or on the timeline, and their friend codes so you can go to their island and stuff. So I'll have to give you those
Cool.
later. You'll have to check them out. But yeah they've everyone's loving it though. Like everyone who's playing it's loving it, and that's great. That's really good. Except for the like, Easter.
Bunny Day sucked. It was the worst. Like that was such a stupid event. Just flooding your island with eggs that no one wants. Every fish you catch is not a fish. You see thousands of balloons flying over to the point where you just start ignoring them because it's just gosh darn more eggs. It's just but the cherry blossoms were cool, so I guess that redeemed a little bit. But
yeah, I like I said, I don't know. I've seen people just constantly complaining on like the IGN board we're on, and stuff
gosh,
like
it was
that.
bad.
Everyone's so angry.
But at the same time, it was kind of like entertaining how annoying it was and how angry people were getting. So
yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I like as an outsider. I'm just like, you guys are so mad. It's great.
Yeah. But if I can, I'm gonna ban that bunny from my airport. I'm gonna be like, Dodos, do not let that bunny back on my island.
That's funny.
He is banned. But yeah, no, this game is so much fun. It's definitely like my favorite game in the series for sure. And I'm almost done sculpting my perfect island. I'm trying to like half emulate Windfall Island from the Wind Waker because I love Wind Waker. Of course, it's kind of hard to do because that island did not have any rivers, and I gotta have some rivers on my island. So that's why it's like half inspired. But I got the like little cliff top edge with the grave on top, and that has the lagoon underneath, and the like market district that's on the right side of the island that slopes up. So it's pretty cool, and lots of windmills in the middle. So yeah,
I was gonna say you could just do a recreation of the Legend of Zelda map since you have rivers.
I've seen
coming
some
through it and
awesome
stuff.
recreations online of like lots of different Zelda maps, and they are pretty cool. So mine's not nearly as identical as that. It's just loosely inspired because I still want my own kind of touches. Like I gotta have my fruit orchard, and I gotta have my fishing post and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I won't drag on because I'm sure I'll talk more about it in future episodes.
Hey, it's okay. We're almost an hour deep and we haven't got through our first segment, so
All right. Well,
go ahead.
this is probably a good stopping point. We'll take a break here. We'll have that little why not take a break, and we'll see what other topics we might be able to cover before we drone on too long here.
It's okay. Got plenty of time. Got all the time in the world.
It's true.
All right, we'll be right back. And we are back. And we forgot that we've been playing something else together.
Yes, there's one more game. We've been kind of in quarantine playing with other friends online.
Quarantine is such a good term for this game. So we've been playing with two other friends of ours. We've been playing Left 4 Dead 2. Old games, yes, but fantastic multiplayer games.
For sure.
Me and the same friends, we used to play Left 4 Dead 1 all the time. Like we played, this was probably 2000, it had to have been 2009, because that was when I got let go from the company I was working with, when I used to work with him. And but we played this game nonstop, like every night. You gonna play? You gonna play? And we'd get at least 3 join in, have some random with us, and we just go on playing Left 4 Dead. Pre-ordered 2. I think we all bought it together. I think they had like a 4-pack you could buy, and it was cheaper if you bought like 4 copies of it or something like that. It was. I remember we did something like that. At least that rings a bell. But but anyway, I only ended up playing, like, I looked at my Steam stats and I played like 7.8 hours total, which I was shocked by, because I was just like, I knew I didn't play a lot of it, but I was like, really, under 10 hours? Like, that's crazy, because the first one I think I had like 20 hours or so at least. Well, I mean, we played all the time though, for at least there was like a 1 week where we were playing every single night. But I don't know how accurate Steam is with the counts, because I know all I did in high school was play Counter-Strike, and it says, especially, well, I guess Source, I played a lot of Source though too, but it says I've only played 120 hours of Source. I've played 120 hours of Breath of the Wild, and I know I've played Source way more than Breath of the Wild. I played Source throughout my entire college years. I played Source like amateur professional, like, amateur leagues online, like before esports was a thing. And we were terrible, but we did it. So I know that I've played Counter-Strike way more than I've ever played any game probably ever. But Left 4 Dead has been so much fun. Like, we played the first night, we played the first campaign, which is the I forgot what it's called. It's the shopping mall.
The shopping mall. Right,
I forgot the level. I forgot what it's called. But
I don't know the names, but
yeah, we played
you
the
have to fill up their car in the middle of the mall.
Yeah, there's like
drive out.
There's like the Dukes of Hazzard or some like race car, and it's just some race car in the middle of the mall. You got to fill up and escape from the zombie horde, and just so much fun because you're working together and all.
Please let the food court be all right.
Oh yeah, the one dude has the best lines in the game whatsoever. He's always like, loading, and like yelling all angry, and you get into the mall and he's like, please let the food court be open, Lord. And he's all excited, and He's it's just great. The characters are really fun when you hear the little comments they make. Again, Valve does a great job making games when they make good games. when they make a game that's like just, I don't know, first person shooters are just where they're at. They're so good. They've done such a good job with that. And Left 4 Dead it's probably the best game that I've played with 4 people. Like, it's just always fun. Again, it'll probably get old for sure after a while. That's what Left 4 Dead 2 has, a lot of maps, which is really cool. Left 4 Dead 1 only had a handful, so that's probably why I only have 20 hours, because we probably played every one like multiple times within a week or two, and then we just kind of fell off of it until the second one came out.
Yeah.
And then the second one came out, and then I just was doing other stuff, so didn't play it. But
it happens. Yeah.
But no, I'm so glad that Jake and I were talking about playing games, and Sadish told me the other day, he was like, last week, what game are we playing this weekend? Let's play a game this weekend. And so when Jake messaged me, I was like, I think he mentioned Left 4 Dead, and I checked Sadish's Steam account and saw he had it, and then I was like, I wonder if Patrick has it. Checked it and saw you had it, and I was like,
it was
excellent.
one of my 6 games I have on Steam.
Right? I was so happy to see that you had it too. So, and I was like, Patrick will play it, and I figured you had it because because you just played Half-Life 2. Like, where did you play that on PC, or did you play that on?
I actually played it on PlayStation 3,
oh,
just because
really?
I had the orange box for that.
Oh wow,
yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought you played it on PC. So
I mean, I originally played it on PC, but that was like my brother's copy back in the day.
Gotcha. So I assumed you had it because of Orange Box or whatever. Like, I just figured you had it,
Good guess, though. Yeah.
From buying it on there, and that's why I checked and saw that you had it. So, but now that you mentioned it, it's funny because I remember looking at your Steam and not seeing Half-Life. Which is you're probably one of the only people to not have Half-Life on your Steam account.
I used my brother's copies for like all those games back in the day.
And I remember you telling me that when we talked about this in the past. So, but yeah, that's been so much fun. And then for anyone else listening, there's an achievement where you have to carry a garden gnome, and this is a thing that goes on within Valve games. It's Noam Chomsky is his name?
Noam Chomsky.
Chomsky.
I had vaguely been aware of it. Like, I remembered it being a thing in Half-Life 2, Episode 2. It was like a mission, although I completely forgot about it when I was playing Half-Life 2. Now I kind of want to go back and
see.
I know.
So, like, I kind of remember hearing about it, but I never paid attention to it because I personally don't really care about achievements. It's just not something, like, I'm not going to chase down achievements. But this one I thought was fun just because it's the 4 of us playing together, and it's stupid.
It's silly. It's dumb.
Well, it's just the way. So if you haven't played it, go ahead if you want to jump in on this.
No, go. You got it.
I was just gonna, because I'll talk about it all night. But what I liked about it was that the fact that you had to win a carnival shooting range game to unlock the gnome. It wasn't just like the gnome was there, you pick it up, and then you have to carry it to the end. But you have to play a game to get it. And it's so cool that's an object in the game you can do. You can play a mini game within a game where you're getting hunted by zombies.
And just the fact that you're like carrying around this big stupid gnome being useless, and it's like you're actually like holding it in the game. It's like staring you in the face. It's like taking up half your screen, like looking at you.
It's
and you can use it to like bash zombies, but it's like totally ineffective.
Like
you managed to kill one hunter with it.
It takes about 6. I think it takes about 6 hits per infected. To kill it with it, and if you hit it too fast, it'll time out, so you can't hit anymore.
Yeah.
You'll get fatigued from hitting it. So
from gnome whacking.
But I was actually reading a Noam Chomsky wiki on a Left 4 Dead 2 wiki to find out more about what games that's in. But it was in Half-Life 2 Episode 2, like you said. With the you have to carry him to the rocket at the end of the game and launch him on the rocket. So in Half-Life 2, he doesn't break. In Left 4 Dead 2, he doesn't break, but in Half-Life Alyx, apparently he's back and he does break.
Oh my gosh.
So I haven't played it, but Jake has. Jake is, I think he said he was working on that gnome challenge right now on a second playthrough. So I don't think I'll do that just because Alex made me sick all the time, and I don't want to even mess with that. But it sounds fun for sure. But I kind of do want to go back and do Half-Life 2 now and carry the gnome through. But I know. So we did it. We did the Noam Chomsky Garden Gnome achievement the other night. Well, the first night we tried it, and we had trouble getting through the gate to go to the last stage, the last part of the stage.
Yeah, and when the next level loaded, he wasn't there.
Yeah, so we got through, and what we think happened was our buddy got in with the gnome, and I was dead. I was already dead.
He like threw it into the room. He wasn't like actually holding it, but he thought he threw it into the room.
So what we think happened is he threw it into the room, but then Patrick and our other friend, they were down right outside the room. So when he opened the door, he thinks that the door like glitched and knocked the gnome out of the room.
Probably.
That's what we think happened. So we beat the level, but we didn't have the gnome after that stage. So it was really disappointing.
We had to go back.
So yeah, so the next day I get a message from our buddy Jake, and he's like, I'm like, hey, what's up, man? He's like, all I can think about saving gnome again. We got to do it. And I was like, all right. So I messaged, Patrick and our other buddy Sadesh, and they all joined, and we successfully rescued Noam Chomsky the other night. So
no man left behind.
No man left behind, except for
everybody other than the gnome, because you all got taken down.
We all died, and Patrick's the only one on the helicopter. I'm like,
this gnome's got to get out of here.
Patrick's on the helicopter with the gnome. I'm running towards the helicopter, and Patrick watches me just get murdered.
Yes. It's all because the helicopter spawned in the opposite ends of the stadium.
Yeah.
You're like, oh no.
I think the game knew that we had the gnome sitting by where it was going to spawn, because the last time we played it, the helicopter launched on the right side of the stage, so we threw the gnome over there, and then this time it launched on the left side. But then when the helicopter came, we had 2 tanks throwing rocks at us, and it was insane. And then we all died. Patrick got away, but we all got the gnome achievement, so it was totally worth it. We actually, Mike, I don't think Mike knew about the gnome achievement, and I actually asked him if he wanted to play the other night, but he didn't get back to me till the next day. So if he wants to do the gnome challenge, we should do it again.
All right.
I'm totally down to do it again. That was fun.
I'm willing to help. Yeah. I did have fun.
But yeah, it's definitely fun. The game has been great in this time of not being able to go out and see your friends. I feel like it's really been a good outlet for me to,
for sure,
to just BS with you guys and play games and yell at each other and have a good fun. It's all fun. So that was the game we left out, and I felt it was very important to mention right now.
Oh yeah. We definitely had a lot of fun playing that, and that was something recent, so...
Yeah.
But on to the news. And probably the most recent news that we should probably touch on, since it's fairly recent, and we're not too far behind. We should talk about that Nintendo Mini Direct, which I don't know if it has satiated the fans' desire for a full Direct since the drought of September, but...
Yeah, not me. I was very upset. I wasn't upset. I was just kind of like, eh.
Yeah, I think it was called Mini for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just hoping for like at least one big drop or something.
It's crazy. I don't think we're gonna get that until E3, honestly, at this point.
Yeah, that's what it
which
seems
is
like.
Crazy.
I mean, E3's
or whatever
been canceled,
E3
but
is. Yeah.
E3's canceled, but Nintendo's still, they're gonna do a Direct still around that time. It just doesn't. It wouldn't make sense for them not to, unless times drastically change between now and then with what's going on.
But the Mini Direct, there are probably only a handful of highlights we'll kind of point out. Seemed like they had a heavy focus on some of their big RPGs coming out, that being Xenoblade Chronicles, the Definitive Edition, and Bravely Default 2.
We're about 3 weeks behind, by the way. It was March 26th when that came out.
Okay.
So we're recording
within the
this.
Last month.
Yeah, we're recording this on the 15th of April, so almost a month. But yeah, like you said, what's a month when you haven't recorded in 7?
But yeah, I don't know if either of us are really care about these particular RPGs. I played Xenoblade Chronicles on the 3DS, or new 3DS, and it's a cool game. It's definitely really cool world to explore and stuff. Not really sure why I fell off of it. I think just other games came out, so maybe if this goes on sale at some point, I might consider picking it up for the Switch at some point, because it was a fun game, but I have so many other games to play right now. I'm not really pressed on this particular one.
Yeah. And then the other one was Bravely Default 2.
Yeah.
Which they showed like a 15 minutes of like a 30-minute direct on. I was like, I don't know if it was 15 minutes. It was very long, though.
It was pretty long.
It felt very long. Like, I actually watched the direct delayed, so I was lucky I could just skip it, because I didn't play the first one. And again, like I said earlier in the show, I'm not a huge RPG guy, so the newer stuff just doesn't do it for me.
It's crazy because they went over so much information that it's kind of redundant to the fans of the original. It's like, yes, you know what Brave and default systems are, and this is how the game plays. Like, this is targeting a very niche audience, and they already know what they're getting. Just like, let them tell them the release date and let them get on. They're already excited and stoked for it. Give them the demo and they'll move on.
Yeah. So I mean, that's cool. I mean, I know people loved it on 3DS, and I remember seeing it and I was like, oh, what's that? I was like, it looks interesting, and but then I saw it was a RPG, and it was
fun art style, but yeah, it's kind of that threshold RPG of 2 RPG for me. So
yeah.
And then what else did they have? They had lots of ports of like big collections, especially from Bethesda or 2K or whatever.
Yeah, 2K was the big one.
Yeah, with the BioShock collection, Borderlands collection, and XCOM collection. All 9 or whatever of these games coming out on the same day in May.
Yeah, for sure. Did you ever play BioShock?
I think I tried it on my brother's like Xbox way back in the day. I didn't really get that into it back then, but I probably wasn't very good at games when I tried it. So
I remember getting the first one on PC, like when it came out, and I think I played through like the first chapter of it and then stopped. But I know that a lot of people really. They liked the first one, hated the second one, or maybe they liked the second one but hated the.
I think the
third
second one is most people's favorite.
Yeah, I think they liked the first. The second was like the high point, and then the third one was highly disappointing to everyone. I think.
Yeah. I think the third one was like a love to hate kind of like, oh, this game is amazing, and then they realize, wait, this sucked.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I know I played the first part. Like, I remember when it came out, and I remember it being like a big deal. Reading it in all the gaming magazines and stuff.
I think like the world building and art style is awesome in them. I'm curious to try it out at some point. I think I actually have it free on PlayStation, like downloaded, so I probably will just play it on there at some point. There's no need for me to get the Switch collection.
Yeah, so it came out in 2007. So when that came out, I was playing Half-Life. So I'm sure I was trying to play other PC games, but yeah, Half-Life was pretty much taking up all my time at that point.
Yeah. But the Borderlands collection, I'd be more tempted to pick up just because those games are so fun to just like kind of pick up, play, do a mission, find some cool loot, come back to. And the humor and just the gameplay is so great. The only disappointing thing about all of these is the massive amount of file sizes that they take on the system, it's like absurd how much it takes, even if you buy the physical copies, which don't they barely contain any of the game.
Yeah, that's the most
So
disappointing thing is
yeah, that's a big disappointment.
like the
It's probably what will keep me from buying any of these. It's just too much unless I get like a terabyte SD card.
they're out. They are
I
out.
know.
They're expensive, but they're
Not
out there.
not doing that anytime soon.
What size do you have currently?
I think I'm just a 64 gigabyte.
Okay.
So
I had
yeah,
that.
these games would take up like half of that.
I bought the 400. I bought the 400 SD card. I think it was like $70 on Amazon, and the one I got, it appears to be legit. I did all the stress testing on it and stuff to make sure because I was scared of getting a counterfeit SanDisk card. But yeah, so it looks like the biggest cartridges. I think they have like 64 cartridges now, 32. I don't know, but yeah, all these companies are not putting. They're putting half the game on the physical card, and you still got to download the others. So it's kind of.
And they have like bigger cartridges now for physical editions.
I think the highest is 64.
Yeah,
either
which
64 or
should
32.
significantly help for these types of games.
Yeah,
I mean, the developers were willing. Like, I'd be willing to pay more if, like, an extra $10 or whatever, if that would help.
Yeah, so
get a more complete.
So
copy.
a 64 gig card is bigger than a Blu-ray. Like a Blu-ray is 50 gig. Dual layer Blu-ray is 50 gig. So, I mean, 64. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to fit more stuff on it. But I think it's just the cost effectiveness of that.
Yeah.
But which is disappointing. And physical media sales are down. GameStop is about to go down the toilet, especially with what's going on right now.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the stuff they're getting slammed with in the media with how they've handled this situation with their employees has been awful. So I do not expect them to be around
why did
longer.
Reggie join that ship? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That was sinking before he ever joined. So, and I mean, it's a shame too, because like I always liked going to, game stores, and then they all turned into GameStop. like FuncoLand turned into EB Games, and then EB Games got bought by GameStop, and it was just like, like everything it's just weird.
It became way too corporate. Yeah.
But I mean, you knew GameStop. I knew GameStop was dead when I went into the store and they didn't have games. Like you walk in and it's just game, paraphernalia everywhere, and stuff from ThinkGeek. Like when they bought ThinkGeek,
yeah,
it just turned into T-shirts and pops and everything. And it's like, all right, that's cool, but I went in to buy a copy of. I don't care if I've even mentioned this before, but I went in to buy a copy of NHL 16, and they didn't have it. Did you pre-order it? No, I didn't pre-order it because you're GameStop. You should have games on their release dates. And people will give me about that, like, well, you should have pre-ordered it if you wanted it so bad. And I'm like,
I can go across the street and pick up the game.
And that's what I did. I went to Best Buy, and they had an entire rack of them. Like, there was no point to
whose loss is it?
It's GameStop's loss for not carrying the game. Like, and then everyone's like, well, you could have just gave $5. I'm like, yeah, it's $5. Like, not a big deal, but
yeah, I only pre-order it if it's like
special edition,
something that's special edition, or it has some kind of bonus or something that I'm inclined that all right, yeah,
absolutely,
I do want to get it here.
And majority of the time, GameStop, their exclusives are like, DLC costumes, and it's like,
I don't care.
I don't care about that. I think the last thing I actually bought through GameStop was probably the Master Collection, the Master Edition of Zelda.
Oh yeah, yeah.
For Breath of the Wild, that was probably one of the last things I bought from GameStop. which is well worth it. And that was all because of your text.
Yeah, trying to snag those pre-orders as they were like disappearing in minutes.
Yeah, but anyway, GameStop aside, that place is
Yeah.
done.
What are
It's
we?
physical
Oh yeah,
media we were
physical
talking
media.
about. Yeah. Sorry, I
Tangents.
completely
You've missed it.
completely
You've missed it,
derailed
listeners.
I have. I've missed it.
All right. So
but
what
yeah,
else? What else we have in this direct?
the direct we had. They said that the next character release for Smash Brothers.
They didn't say
DLC,
who the character was, but they said what game it was coming from.
Yeah, so they said it was gonna be from ARMS, and again, they didn't say who it was.
No one really saw coming.
No, I didn't. I didn't expect that at all. Honestly,
2 to 3 year old game now.
That they haven't done anything with, like at all. Haven't mentioned it at all. They haven't done any tournaments or anything. But I did think I didn't do it, and we're past the day. But the day of the direct, when they announced that the next character would be from ARMS and Smash, they did a full free trial of ARMS for like a week, which is cool. I mean, I think that's great because that's the type of game you can sit down and play it for a week and be done with it.
Yep.
Like, and that's basically what you did.
Yeah, I didn't stay on that game for too long because I did end up buying it because I thought the character design and just the whole design of the game I thought was really polished and cool. Like, it was really well done.
It was fun when we played it at that Switch event. Like the month before it came out.
It just unfortunately lacked the kind of lasting appeal, that kind of like single player content or something. But the game is a lot of fun and it has a lot of fun ideas in it. So it makes me curious, maybe if they're working on a sequel that they're kind of reviving this now. I don't know.
Well, I think they are doing a tournament, but then I think the tournament just got delayed because of, all the stuff going on. So,
but I'm glad that this franchise is getting some love again because I do like what they did with it, and I hope that it kind of keeps it in people's memories. And I am very curious as to what character from the game they'll end up choosing. My personal wish would be Twintel is definitely my favorite character, although she does only use her hair instead of arms, so I don't know how likely her odds are. I will say she might have a good shot just based off the fact I think this was a rumor back a while ago, but they were like data mining Smash Brothers after a certain update, and they noticed that there was this kind of like test data of some new character using Bayonetta as kind of like a mock dummy, like for whatever new character they were testing. Do you remember this?
Don't remember that at all.
Yeah, and they had done this previously for another character before whoever that Fire Emblem character is, Byleth, was. They used another character kind of for a similar purpose, for kind of like testing purposes, and it ended up being Byleth. So who could they possibly be using Bayonetta for as a test subject? Twintel does kind of have some similarities, I would say, to Bayonetta with the hair and the tall kind of female kind of proportions. So that is a possibility that she could have a good shot.
There hasn't really been a female presence in any of the DLC either, so...
True. Yeah.
You always have that to kind of, balance off.
So, I do feel like it's very likely either Twintel, Min Min was voted like the most popular ARMS fighter in like lots of ARMS contests, so she probably has a good chance, and she also has like kicking attacks, which is kind of unique. Or I'd say the next best odds would probably be Ribbon Girl, because she is also kind of like the poster girl next to Spring Man, but she also has like a fun double jump and kind of the kind of moveset. So those would be my top 3 likeliest. It could be Spring Man, but he would be the most boring pick of all.
That means that's who it's gonna be.
Yeah, he's also already an assist trophy in Smash.
I heard about that. Yeah.
If it does end up being him, it'd be very interesting what that has to say in regards to who can and can't be a character if an assist trophy can suddenly become a character. All the Waluigi fans are going to be up in arms, like, yes, he has a chance.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure people aren't going to let
Yeah.
that down.
So it'll be very interesting to see who they pick. I think it will have a fun move set regardless of who they pick. It will be a very different style of Smash Fighter, having someone who reaches across the stage and stuff. So yeah, I'm curious. It should be fun.
Yeah, yeah, we'll definitely, keep an eye out for that news. I never played ARMS.
I think they said the character will come out in June, so
Okay.
I guess we'll find out more details in the next month or two.
Yeah, at least it's not too far away. We should hopefully get a. We should start getting information about the fiscal
But
year.
then again, everything could be delayed, so we don't know with the state of things right now. So.
Yeah, because we haven't gotten the fiscal data or any of that. We usually get that
and now they've
April.
sent a lot of reports of employees working from home, like Sakurai is working from home now. So who knows how that affects the development time?
Yeah.
So
we'll see what happens. So really. They went down a list of a bunch of games in this.
Lots of bigger or like smaller like indie games. Whatever.
There were some like Zelda-esque indie games they showed. I think it was like Blue Fire was one of them or something like that. I forgot the name. I thought that looked pretty cool. And then there was I know a lot of people are talking about Baldo was another game coming out.
I think those were in the Indie Direct, though.
Oh, was that the Indie Direct? I thought that was this Direct.
Which was like 2 weeks before this.
Okay, yeah, maybe that's it. Oh, we're not talking about the Indie Direct.
Nah.
I thought that was
too far back.
I'm getting confused. But anyway, yeah. So the only other thing that I thought looked cool was the Clubhouse games.
Clubhouse games, 51 worldwide classics.
I mean. It's just one of those things that's like the only thing that really stuck out to me immediately was the bowling, because the quick clip they showed of bowling, it looked exactly like Wii bowling, and I miss Wii bowling. I have a Wii, but it's not hooked up, and I don't feel like hooking it up and using the sensor bar, and I have a wireless sensor bar that needs batteries, and using it with the projector's a pain, and it would be nice to have the Switch, do that motion accelerometer and all that stuff. So I think it could work.
It looks like a fun mix of like classic board games and kind of like Wii Play, Wii Sports kind of mixed together.
Yeah, but it's got like card games too. It's got pool. It's got darts. I think was on there.
And even if there are probably likely a few duds in there like that no one will care about, there was a lot of stuff in there that looked fun, and like just being able to kind of like create a small mix of rotation, play online with friends, and be like, we're gonna rotate through these games and kind of have some fun. It looked like a good time.
Like, it was funny. Like I saw like Mencala's on there.
Yeah.
And like, dude, I played Mencala all the time as a kid. Couldn't tell you. Yeah. I don't remember how to play it, but I used to play it all the time as a kid. I thought it was so much fun.
And I liked how they like came up with names for like copyright kind of games. Like instead of Connect 4, it was like 4 in a row. Or
yeah, they always do that. Like backgammon will be called like something. Or no, was it Othello or something like that was one of them, but they like had a different name for it, Black and White or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it definitely looks fun. I'm definitely interested in that when it comes out. Hopefully the price is right. Because
I think it's $40. Which is a little high.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I bet
30.
you if it goes on sale, it will be just the sweet point where I think a lot of us would indulge.
Yeah, 40 seems a little high for that.
Yeah, but then again, it's 51 games. That's like
it's less than $1.
Less than $1 a game.
Yeah,
so
you can't.
It's just the fact that you have to buy them all.
Yeah, especially if you're only playing like 3 of them. It's like $40. What do you play? Bowling.
But I bet you there's probably 10 or 20 good games in there.
Probably.
So,
I'm sure there's stuff you'll have fun with at least for an hour or so. So you can get your money's worth.
Like the Tanks game looked cool, or Yeah, like you said, bowling, a bunch of card games, a lot of those classic
There
kind
was
of.
like mahjong too, wasn't there? Like a
Yep.
bunch of stuff like that. So
Mhm. So,
yeah, I used to play mahjong all the time on like old Flash games on the PC. Don't remember how to play it, but I used to play it all the time.
mm,
So, but yeah, that pretty much covers the direct. I think
I
we
think
I
so.
think we talked
Yeah.
a little longer than I thought we would have about that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Should we take a break before this next one, or because I know we're probably gonna dive deep into this next one.
sure. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
All right. All right, so we're back, and we're changing the order of our stories a little bit. We're gonna start with the Sony news here. Chad was just reminding me, I completely forgot that they talked about like the specs of the system. It was almost like a GDC supposed to be talk of just like the
Very,
technical inner
very
workings.
deep dive.
Oh boy, was that boring! Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I like kept nodding off watching it. I like went home for lunch excited to kind of listen to it, and I was just like, come on.
I remember I had my headphones plugged in, and I just had it kind of playing in the background on my computer at work, and then like I heard it, or maybe it was on my phone. I don't remember. But then like I heard what they were talking about, and I was just like, oh god, like I just don't care, and,
They
and I
spent
turned it off.
like half an hour talking about how a solid state drive was making a world of difference. I'm like, yes, we get it. Solid state drives, they're cool. It's kind of a new standard.
Pretty
It's
much.
gonna help. I get it. I get it. Move on.
Yeah.
Show something that kind of proves this. Like a picture's worth 1,000 words, kind of. But no, it wasn't anything. Which
If they would have showed a picture of the actual PS5 and then talked about it, it would have been more
just
exciting.
anything, a picture, a demo of
Yeah.
like a technical demonstration, like
Yeah. It's really weird that like, we know what the Xbox Series X is going to look like, but we have no idea what the PS5 is going to look like outside of like the V render dev kit that everyone's talked about
and the logo.
and the logo. And these are consoles that, providing no delays, are going to be releasing in
They
like
keep
6 months.
touting that they're gonna release this year, so
Yeah, like 6-7 months away. That seems very
pretty
very crazy to me.
odd. No
But
one knows the price of either of these, and
although I will say I don't think I remember the year the PS4 and the Xbox One came out. I don't think we heard anything until E3 as far as like what it actually looked like. And that's when Xbox was like, you can't share your games, you
that
can't
all started
you know,
coming out, trickling up to E3.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then E3 is when they did their press conference that they just bombed. And then
Mhm.
Sony came out and was like, you can give this game to your friend and it's
Yeah.
$100 less, and everyone was like, PS4 is the way to go. So
But Sony had shown the PS4 as of February
I did that.
that year. Yeah, that's
Okay.
when they had their big kind of a reveal event, and then I think Microsoft had theirs like the next month after that, and then it led up to E3 with all these kind of like trickling details there. Sony just like trumped Microsoft with
Yeah.
learning all the mistakes.
And then Microsoft quickly made a non-Connect bundle that was $100
Mhm.
less, which off
You
because I
could say
just bought mine.
their marketing did a 360.
Yeah, right.
But
So yeah, they did that, and then they were like immediately like stripped all the DRM claims off of it, where can't, where you could still lend your games to your friends and stuff
Yep.
like that. It's just
the damage had been done.
Oh,
They've
yeah.
been playing catch up since. Yeah.
Yep. And I bought an Xbox One, and it sits on the shelf. I only use
Right.
it to play hockey.
We will see. It seems like Sony's all high and mighty right now, so maybe the time the sort of winds are saying there may be a change. We'll see.
Yeah.
But Sony still has those exclusives.
Yeah, they do have a lot of exclusives that I haven't played on PS4 that I'm looking forward to playing. Horizon Zero Dawn was one, which is actually coming to PC like this year. So kind of like
one less reason for.
but now I'm probably going to get a PS5 when it comes out. I'm really just curious to hear the price point and curious to see how the backwards compatibility is going to work. Because I did not have a PS4. The rumor is that it's going to support most PS4 games, so depending on how that works, just off the top of my head, I'm ready to play Everybody's Golf is like top on my list because I love Hot Shots Golf.
Yeah.
So that's huge on my list.
Got Spider-Man, you got
Spider-Man, God of War, Zero Horizon Dawn was one. I've never played any of the Last of Us stuff, so that's,
Last of Us is great, although I'm strangely not excited at all for the sequel, just because it looks brutal as all heck and depressing, and I don't know if I need that in my life right now.
Especially right now.
Yeah, I know. So it was probably a good that it was almost delayed. That
it was delayed.
It was delayed, indefinitely. Yeah. It was probably a smart move there. I don't think anyone's ready for it.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, that PlayStation talk was boring, but regardless, that was meant for GDC, so I guess if developers enjoyed it, that's fine. The other bit of Sony news is they did show off the PS5 controller, though, of which it is no longer a DualShock. It is called the DualSense.
With, what is it, adaptive rumble? Is that what they called it?
You mean
Something
HD
like
rumble?
Yeah. HD rumble.
Always taking a step from Nintendo's books.
For the controllers, always. Yeah. It's all good. My only criticism, like everyone was, there's a lot of people talking about it, like, oh, it's ugly, blah blah. I kind of liked seeing a white controller.
Doesn't look bad.
Because I feel like PlayStation, the first one was the gray, PS2 was black, PS3 was black, PS4 was black.
I actually got the white one because of the Destiny bundle for PS4.
I mean, at launch though, like when PS4,
I know, when
PS4 launched, I mean, they typically most of the consoles recently have all been black launch consoles. Not that it means that this, the controller doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
it could be whatever. I think the last, it's just different. It'd be different if the color scheme is something more two-toned, or again, it's not a big deal. I don't really care either way, but it was just it was different to see. Like, I feel like if they you had a black PS2 controller and then the 6-axis PS3 controller looked just like it, just didn't have a cord, and then the DualShock 3 was the same. It just had the rumble pack, which why they took the rumble out of it was, I'd assume, battery life. Stupid.
Yeah.
And then the DualShock 4 was a good evolution of what the PS2 controller was. Like, it was a really good evolution of how, you look at it and it's like, that's a PlayStation controller, but it's different. It's got the little touchpad on the front, the LED bar on the top. I thought it was a good evolution.
Yeah.
And this looks, to me, it looks like a PS4 controller that's white. That's what it looked like to me.
A little, maybe a little bulkier.
I did like the clear buttons.
Almost like the Pro controller kind of size.
I like the clear buttons, because when I first saw the picture, I was like, are the buttons flat? Like, I thought they were flush with the controller. And I was like, that's
clear
weird.
Buttons are nice.
But then when they showed it on the side, I thought it looked neat. That was cool.
I do miss that the symbols are colored. Like, they're not colored anymore, because that's kind of like a PlayStation staple. I don't know.
Yeah.
Having those colored shapes, but maybe they'll have special edition controllers or something.
I'm sure they're gonna have. Yeah. If they don't have colored stuff, they're definitely gonna have more, colors of the controllers and consoles. But I'm curious what they're gonna launch it as, though. If it's gonna be this like crazy, like a lot of people are saying it looks like GLaDOS from Portal.
It did give me a kind of Portal or Wally, just kind of like robot vibe. I don't know, with the
Yeah.
like white shell.
Yeah, the white and black like accent
Yeah.
shell, stuff like that. My biggest criticism, and I know everyone has their preference. I personally don't like the analog sticks being low. Both of them being on the
Yeah.
same side. I like
That's
my.
never gonna change.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
doubt it. I've never liked it ever since the first analog controller I ever had on PS1. I just
Mm.
it never felt right to me. It just felt off. Like I don't know what it is. Um, I have held a DualShock controller because I tried to fix one for Sadish. He had me replace the analog sticks he wore out. Um, and when I held it, I actually was like, it doesn't feel bad. But I just know in the past when I played like PS2 games and stuff, I
Yeah.
always preferred using the D-pad over using the analog stick.
It might feel better now that it kind of has a little extra room to hold it, maybe. But
Yeah.
we'll see. Um,
So that's
it does have some other nice features. They have a built-in mic now in the controller, so you don't have to plug in a headset if you just want to like quickly chat with somebody. I like seeing the meme of there's this one button now. They got rid of the share button and replaced it with some kind of little button with like 3 lines going off of it, and someone was like, finally they added a honk button for
Yes,
Goose.
the Untitled Goose honk. I saw
Yeah.
that. That was great. I saw somebody. Do you know that that little Fisher Price controller that I showed you that we bought for Brody?
Oh yeah.
That somebody did that and mocked up the PS4 control or the DualShock 5 controller, the DualSense controller.
Yeah.
Can't say this thing. They mocked it up to have the smiley face, the Fisher Price smiley face, and the star, triangle, square, and circle buttons and stuff, and it's pretty funny.
Yeah, and I think the only other thing I'm very curious about is, how they changed up the like light sensor that was on it. Because before on the PS4 controller, it was like on the front of the controller, it was this big kind of colored light on the front of the controller, and now they've kind of changed it so it kind of loops around the touchpad, so it kind of like outlines it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the only kind of ramification that's going to have is like that light sensor was actually very important for kind of tracking purposes for VR back on the PlayStation VR. So if they got rid of that, like how, and I believe they said PSVR is still going to be compatible with PlayStation 5. At least that's what they're aiming to be. So if they got rid of the light sensor, does that mean they're hinting at some kind of new VR controllers that they're working on for PlayStation 5?
It's possible. I mean, I know that one of the things they use the motion controllers, right? The Move.
They also have the
PS
wands.
So,
although I really hope they get rid of those, because I mean, honestly, those are like PS3 controllers and they suck. So
so I mean, most VR stuff that would make the most sense to make a new controller for VR, considering, you know, I have the Oculus, and Oculus has completely changed their controller since the one I have. Like, it's completely different just because of the way tracking works with the newer models now. So the Rift S, which is the one newer than mine, and the Quest both use the same controllers. And instead of having it like that, this part's like on top now. It's different. I haven't held one. I just have, you know, these, and I don't know exactly what you gain from that, but apparently it has to do with the tracking, because the cameras in the Rift S and the Quest, the cameras are actually on the headset. So like how it tracks is actually like here, 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 and here, with little camera lenses instead of I have 2 sensors on each side of my monitor that track, you know, this little guy. But so that would make sense if they're maybe trying to move to something more, you know, recent with that. If they're gonna continue to push VR. I mean, hell, that first direct they did was all VR.
Yeah. So I have a feeling
VR.
That's kind of what they're moving towards. Probably some new VR controllers. give me some Sony Power Gloves. I don't know.
Yes. Then if they give you gloves, then you're definitely getting Half-Life Alyx.
Yes, and then give me Half-Life Alyx, which is not unprecedented. As the Valve has worked with Sony before with like Portal 2.
It was actually really the orange box on PS3 was actually really cool because you could crossplay on PC.
Yeah, and the crossplay and stuff.
Yeah, because my buddy had it and we crossplay and like voice chat and everything.
Yeah,
it all worked. It was really cool.
I'm hopeful. 2 years, it will come.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm excited for PS5 just because I personally think Xbox is no longer, to me, a gaming console. It's more of
more like a service.
It's a service / platform. Yeah. It's just that's what it is. It's all running within Windows 10.
Yeah.
So my PC, based on the specs, the Xbox One X it's my PC with ray tracing. That's it. That's it. That's literally it. I don't have ray tracing because I have a 1080. The ray tracing was with the 2080, and I'm not gonna pay $1,200 for a new video card when I just got a 1080 a couple years ago and it's running everything at full capacity. So there's just no point.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this develops as Sony and Microsoft continue to play chicken with each other and their decisions when to release news.
Somebody's gonna drop that price soon. Somebody's gonna drop the price.
The only other Sony news I'll mention, I just saw today that because of the kind of social distancing, everyone's staying at home right now, Sony is releasing the Uncharted collection and Journey for free for all PlayStation owners until May 5th. So if you just go online and download it, those are a bunch of free fun games to download. So I thought I'd mention that.
Is that for all owners or just PS Plus members or?
I think it was anybody. I'll double check that real quick just to be sure.
Yeah, I don't have a PS4, but if it's like I've never played the Uncharted games either. I've heard that.
Yeah, and the Uncharted collection, you'd have them all to play. So
I'd have 2 weeks to beat them all.
Announcing the Play at Home initiative. Let me double check this real quick.
Sure.
All right. Stay safe and pick up Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection, and Journey for free.
All right.
So for free, there's the asterisk. Let me look at the asterisk now. Oh, that's just saying Germany and China have different games. Okay. Interesting. They get Knack 2 in Journey instead of Uncharted. They don't like Uncharted.
So
yeah, it doesn't say you need a subscription or anything.
Apparently, it is available on PC through PS Now.
Okay. So there's a few ways to play it then.
I don't know if it's free, but yeah, PS Now.
Interesting.
So anyway, that's cool.
Free games, good games at that. I remember telling you about Journey, and you were like, the band? And I was like, no, the game.
It's
you
funny.
Mean, like, Journey the game? I'm like, no, not the band game, the NES, the, like, desert one.
Arcade. That wasn't NES. Yeah. That was arcade.
Arcade, yeah.
So good. I was actually looking at some of our old episodes and saw that intro and was like, yes, the other day.
All right, so that's all the Sony news. Now let's go back to the other segment that we were going to talk about first, which is Nintendo rumors.
Yes. So, do you want to? Yeah, I guess we'll start with the first one we have listed here because that was last week that came out.
Yeah.
So, they have announced,
or lots of game news outlets have now kind of hyped up. Affirming this.
So, like, one news outlet did, I forgot who it was at first. I think it was, like, Eurogamer or something. I don't remember. I think that's what it was.
Eurogamer was, like, the first, like, news outlet, and then a whole bunch of others kind of spoke up saying,
Yeah.
we've heard this similar reports.
And that report is that Nintendo, for Mario's 35th anniversary, is doing remakes of like all the games.
all the 3D Mario
all
games.
the 3D Mario games.
Which is Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, Mario Galaxy, maybe 2. Some of the reports kind of go back and forth about the second one.
Yeah.
And then Mario 3D World, as well as a new Paper Mario game coming, which we'll talk about at the end.
Yeah, so that's crazy. I mean, it's awesome. Like, so I would be happy if they just released the ROMs. But if they're actually gonna remake them, that's really really cool. We'll see what happens. But like you said, this, you take that kind of rumor and it's just kind of like, all right, yeah, whatever. And it came out like the week of April Fools too, I think. Something
I think
like
that. Around that time.
Yeah. So
it wasn't on April Fools, so
no,
that's the only thing that's giving me hope. Like, all right, it's not a joke.
But the thing that makes me think it's real is just the fact that, like, the one outlet came, and then you've had like Nintendo Wire, Nintendo Enthusiast, and then you had IGN, and then you had Ars Technica, Engadget. Everyone just started.
And the fact that we have like no knowledge or news of like any Nintendo games post Animal Crossing.
Oh, we have nothing. We have no idea what's going on right now. We know that Bayonetta 3 has been in development for the last like 3 years.
Bayonetta 3 exists.
And Metroid Prime 4 exists, being remade again. So
apparently Pikmin is still in development for like the past 6 years. I don't know.
Yeah. So, but yet there's been nothing confirmed for like the major seller for the rest of the year at this point.
Yeah.
So doing a Mario collection would be a huge way to tide over the year, unless we're gonna get some announcement that like Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out at the end of the year, or there's gonna be some major unknown drop that we haven't heard of yet.
I still believe Breath of the Wild 2 holiday was the original plan. Yeah. Don't know if it'll hit that date still, but I believe with every fiber that was the intended holiday game. So we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like let's quickly go over the games. So like Mario 64,
which hasn't really been remade since the DS.
The DS, they remade that,
which was almost more of a demake, even though it added extra levels and slight multiplayer. It really wasn't like the best version to play.
Yeah, I think I played it at GameStop once on a demo copy. I love that game. Like,
it's a great game.
I think it's a great game. I
still to this day.
I recently went back and played it, and then one of my buddies brought his son over to my house, and his son is like obsessed with Mario, and he watches YouTube videos of Mario all the time, and he saw my 64. I want to play Mario 64. I was like, okay, so hooked it up for him to play that. I know he's really excited with this news. His son's 5, and 5-year-olds like Mario 64, like something I was playing when I was like 10. So it's really cool. But I think the game holds up very well still to this day. It was 100% the best experience with the Nintendo 64 controller. The controller just feels so good. The Z button underneath with the analog stick, it feels fantastic. With that being said, though, the area of Super Mario Odyssey that contained,
I was just gonna mention that, yeah,
that contained Peach Castle and everything, Mushroom Kingdom there. Was awesome.
Seeing that, yeah, and like running through that and kind of like that HD glory, even kind of slightly reimagined, was amazing.
Well, the thing that sold me was the Mario 64 skin costume.
The skin was great.
That's because it was like still that pixelated like polygonal look, but but it felt like you were playing Mario 64 when you're running around
Yeah.
that world. That was
Which,
that was my default costume after that. As soon as I
yep.
got it,
So
like,
if they do touch up the graphics for this Mario 64 remake, that Mario 64 skin should totally be like a power-up reward or something.
yeah, and that game, there's definitely things they can touch up, like some stuff with the camera, and the controls are by no means perfect, but that game it controls very well for what it is. You can't play it on a modern controller or or a keyboard or something like that hooked up to your computer and expect to get the best gameplay out of it. I've read some people talking about it online, like, oh, the controls suck in that game, and it's like, it's not that bad, man. Like, if you play it with a real controller, it's not that bad, especially if you've got an N64 controller that doesn't have a stick that was destroyed from playing Mario Party. Like, it controls pretty well if you have a good N64 controller. Playing it on original hardware, the game completely holds up.
Yep.
So the other one would be Super Mario Sunshine,
Which has never been ported or remade or anything.
No ports, no remakes, and it's really, I think it's the only, outside of Galaxy 2, because I still haven't beaten Galaxy 2. I just never played it. I played it a few years ago. I went back to it. I went back to it and I played it for a few hours, a couple times. It's just the whole Wii using the controller, and I was playing on the projector, and it was just kind of a hassle. But I never beat it. I never beat Sunshine, and I never even got close to beating it.
Yeah. It's actually one of the harder Mario games to like beat, because you actually have to get pretty far in the game. I think you have to beat like 7 of the missions in each of the worlds before you can unlock the Bowser stage. So
yeah, like I think I got like 50 stars, 50 shine sprites or whatever.
Shines, yeah.
And like I remember the hardest one for me to get at the moment was spraying all the goop off the beach so the hotel can come, and the stingrays.
The whole hotel world is just the hardest. Like cleaning up the beach and the manta rays. Oh my gosh, those manta rays.
The manta rays were awful. I remember replaying it like a year or two ago, and when I got to that part, I was just like, I can't do this. I was like feeling that rage come back. And then playing the thing I hated too was and this is all stuff I hope they can somehow like either nerf that the difficulty of that area, or allow you to move the camera in the non-flood levels. Because I remember you always had this like offset view in the non-flood levels, and maybe you could move it around a little bit, but like I always felt like my depth perception was off, and I would like jump and miss the block or something like that. The controls
and the camera controls were not the best in Mario Sunshine. That's probably its biggest flaw.
That was like always my issues. Like, as soon as my flood pack got stolen, I was just like, well, this is gonna be the end of me. So.
This is probably the game I'm most curious how they would adapt now, mainly because of the pressure triggers for like spraying the flood pack, which actually did
big difference.
Yeah,
the way that the game controlled.
Yes, I'm very curious how they would adapt that for a system that doesn't have pressure analog triggers. So
yeah, it'd be interesting. Maybe they could do it with like using the right stick or something.
That's the only workaround I could think of, because you can measure like.
But then that would be how you aim
tilting.
It. Unless you like go
then what do you do for the camera? Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to like hit a button to go into flood mode, and then you can trigger it with that or something. I don't know. Or it just supports the Smash Brothers GameCube adapter, and they sell it with a GameCube controller.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
That's how they do it. So, providing that does that still do pressure sensitivity through? I would imagine it would still support it.
I'd imagine.
Because it's an analog stick, so it's the way that that's through the controller.
There just hasn't been any games that have really
nothing's utilized other than
tested it.
Smash.
Yeah.
So. And Smash doesn't really need that. Just feels so good.
Yeah. And then we got our Mario Galaxies, which are fantastic.
So the interesting thing about that is that Mario Galaxy's already been released on the Tegra chip. It was released in China.
Oh, that's right.
On the NVIDIA Shield, which is using the same chipset that the Switch has.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like they could just port it.
Yeah, those I could see being important. They're beautiful games already.
I feel like
I don't think
somebody did those games were the first. Those are the first Mario games that were actually developed with HD in mind, because the Wii U supported component video out. I mean, the GameCube did too, but it was less common. But the Wii U, the Wii, not the Wii U. It supported 480p, which was progressive scan HD at the time.
Yeah, so they can maybe like touch it up a little, but honestly, I don't think much work would be needed on those.
Yeah, well, I think Dolphin too. The Dolphin emulator, you've got a lot of fan mods that people have up-res the models and stuff like that. And, you can boost those up to 4K, and like Wind Waker looks beautiful, and so does Metroid Prime. They look fantastic in 4K on those games. But so it'd be really interesting to see. We know that they've already done it for the NVIDIA Shield. So I think Game Explain or somebody did a video on comparing like how they handled the motion controls.
Okay.
Moving it to the Shield, but that was a Chinese exclusive release or something like that.
Yeah, it's totally possible. They could totally. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that really covers it. I mean, and then the 3D World. I think we've all kind of been expecting 3D World to come to Switch.
That's one of the most expected ports. This rumor suggests that it'll be a deluxe edition, kind of like New Mario Brothers U was a deluxe, where they kind of bundled the Luigi DLC, and I think they sprinkled some new levels or something in.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that was a fun game. I loved that. That was a really fun game.
Definitely.
I just remember being frustrated that my gamepad died when I wasn't using the gamepad, I was doing it was like the tank level. And I'm jumping across the tank ships or the little train cars, and as I jumped across it, it like freezes, and it's like, your gamepad's dead. And I was like, no, what the hell? I'm not even using the gamepad. But just because the Wii U had to have that stupid gamepad enabled.
Yep.
So disappointed by that.
Yeah, and honestly, that other game probably would improve from getting rid of some of the gamepad features, because it was more gimmicky for that one.
Yeah, I never use it. I literally...
There were only like 1 or 2 levels that you had to use it for like lifting up platforms or like blowing or something. I don't know.
I don't even think I used it for that.
Okay.
Like, I know that I played.
You just found a way to jump past the platforms, anyways.
I played that game using the Skyward Sword Gold Zelda Wii Motion Plus controller, because that's the only Wii Motion Plus controller I have. Is that one? So
gotcha.
I know that's how I played it, and like I said, I know that thing died after I played it for I had like a 2-3 hour session, and the battery died, and I was like all into it too. So at that point, it basically lived on the charger.
I did get a piece to fix my Wii U gamepad because the connectivity range kept diminishing over the years. I haven't attempted it yet.
Yeah,
and mainly because I saw that package was from China. I was like, I'm gonna let you sit on the shelf for 2 weeks here, so I'll have to try that eventually.
That's not how it works, Patrick.
I know. It's probably fine. I was like, I'm not in a rush. I'm just gonna let you sit.
Yeah, it's all good. But yeah, let me know if it fixes it though. I'm curious because I remember.
Yeah, I am curious. I'll have to try it out and let you know.
I remember the first time I went to your house and you were showing me Xenoblade and you were sitting like this close to the
Yep.
TV.
It's only gotten worse.
I was like, what the hell, Patrick? I was like, and he's like, I have to sit this close. And then like you scooted back 2 feet and it was like gamepad disconnected. I was like, jeez.
Yeah, at least the Switch has been performing better than that. So
yeah, for sure.
So the last part of this rumor before we touch on Paper Mario is how these games will be bundled. They kind of vary on reports, but the consensus seems to be that Mario 3D World will be a separate deluxe package, while some reports think that all those other 3D Mario games might actually be bundled together.
Which would
and
be
what
insane.
I like to call what I would like to call Super Mario All-Stars 2, if that would come true.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? Would that be?
I mean,
would that happen?
It would be awesome if they did that, and it kind of had the same like menu system, like just you know, just
the same kind of like scrolling through the games, but in a more 3D fashion, since these are 3D Marios.
I think it'd be cool if you were able to jump through paintings or jump through box art like in Mario 64.
Just make it the second floor of Mario 64 where you run around that kind of circular room,
area,
but make all the paintings the games, and that'd be perfect.
Yeah, that'd just be really cool. It'd be a great homage to that if they started it with like, you know, the characters sitting around in 3D talking like they do in the first one, and then the lights are, and then you turn on it and it goes bling, and then
they should have like the different generation models of the characters, like old polygonal Bowser talking to like more fleshed out Bowser or something. I don't know.
And then when you hit start, they like transform into like an HD res or something. I don't know. It'd be cool. It'd be really cool to see something, you know, based off of, you know, an older collection if they did that. It'd be really neat. I don't expect it, but it'd be.
Now that I I've thought of it, I just so wanted to be true.
Anything less will not be acceptable.
It just would be like so epic. Like Nintendo has not developed a package of that epicness in so long, just to be like, all right, we're doing it again. Here it is. Yeah. All 3D Marios. You're welcome.
Yeah, I mean the last massive package they sold for $60 was the NES Classic.
Yeah,
that was really the last time where, you know, it was like you're getting what kind of value for $60? Like,
you know,
and then
I think they could.
Yeah, we'll see.
Four games for 60, or they could even charge 80 if they did that and package together. I don't know.
I think people would not pay 80 for that. I would, because I'm stupid, but I'd do it.
Throw in some other,
especially when I have
soundtracks or art book or history book or something.
When I have all 4 of those games sitting right here. But yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. All right. So last rumor is of a new Paper Mario game, but not just a new Paper Mario game. A Paper Mario game returning to its roots, like
Super Paper Mario.
Not that. Yes. Although that's a great game.
So good. Better than all of them.
But of the N64 or GameCube caliber, which a lot of people's favorite is the GameCube 1000-Year Door. So getting back to its roots, now that it's kind of had time to process a lot of the criticism of recent Paper Marios that people don't seem to have a taken to. And yeah, I think that would be fantastic. Just in the essence that the Switch really is a system for re-exploring the roots of franchises and bringing new life to them. And I would love a new Paper Mario, especially of that caliber.
Yeah, I need to play 1000-Year Door. I have it. I just again.
Ooh. I should make that your next challenge.
To stream?
Yes.
I still gonna do Earthbound though. I kind of want to do Earthbound before
All
that.
right, that's a good game too.
I don't know.
I can't argue.
Just because Earthbound's just, you know, I think
Yeah,
it's bigger on the list.
it is bigger,
Higher
but
on my
Paper
list.
Mario Thousand Year Door would be more new to you.
Yeah, that's true. It would be completely new because I've never even
Yes.
booted it up. Never.
Yeah.
Earthbound, I at least get to like the second town at Tucson. So maybe I've been to Threed. I think I made it to Threed.
I think you made it a three. I don't think you
Oh
made
no, I made it to
Overside.
I made it to Saturn Village. That was the last
You-
place I remember being. Was in Saturn
Okay.
Village. So, anyway, sorry, derailing your Paper
No.
Mario talk.
I don't know if there's much more to say about it. Just
Just excited,
Yeah.
hoping you want more.
new Paper Mario. He's so good. Because if you like, when did Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door come out? Like, I'm just gonna look that up because that's what people consider the last good Paper Mario.
GameCube
even
was
though
like-
Super Paper Mario is great.
so
I'm not.
good.
I'm not knocking it. It's just.
It's different.
more like
it's
a
different.
spin-off to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a fun spin-off.
I loved it. I thought it was so good.
Yeah. And it had a great story. Like, I really dug the story of Super Paper Mario. That was really fun. So it's not a bad game at all.
It came out on 2004.
Yeah. So the
that
fact
was-
that we haven't had like a good, solid, traditional Paper Mario since 2004, like
That was a
16
late release.
years.
That was a late release for the game.
Yeah, it came out pretty late in the GameCube's life cycle.
Yeah, because the Wii came out in 2005.
I remember because they were kind of like touting the like technical prowess of like, look at all these paper models on screen at the same time. There's hundreds of them running around. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Okay. I'm like, just give me my Paper Mario. I want
I
to
know
play.
the Wii was 2006. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot. I forgot when that came out. Thought it was my dates are all confused. The older I get, the worse I get at remembering what time things happened. But yeah,
But yeah, that's all really for. Oh no, that's all for the Mario rumor. We still have a whole nother rumor to go.
all right. Last rumor. This is gonna be the last thing to talk about. This should be quick because there's really nothing to go off of.
Okay.
this-
Oh yeah, it's pretty late. Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
this is the last thing. Let's do it.
Last one. I gotta wake up early and it's already after midnight
Whoops.
and gotta work tomorrow. So it's all good. So Switch just got a new firmware yesterday, or 2 days ago.
Yep, the 10.0 update.
10.0. So with that, they added button remapping, which is a big thing that a lot of people were asking for, and it also added the ability to copy games from your SD card to your local memory, and
Or vice versa.
I believe
or-
vice versa. Yeah.
Yeah. It also
So-
added some nice Animal Crossing icons.
Oh,
Woo.
did it?
Yeah.
But
I
it
got
didn't. It
that
didn't.
little dodo as my icon.
It did not add folders like everyone hoped it would have,
No.
and or any
Or
other themes or anything like that, which is so
Yes.
weird. So weird.
I-
Now would be a good time for Nintendo to release that. Look,
It would.
everyone's at home. There's like you can't find a Switch on the market anywhere because everything's sold out because everyone bought up the stock.
Yep.
Apparently, it's getting a little better, but.
It is.
The last few weeks have been tough. You're seeing Switch bundles sell for like $500, and
Yeah.
it's crazy.
If anyone is looking for Switches and having a hard time finding, I would recommend using the site at nownstock.net. At least that particular site helped me when I was searching for SNES classics when they were hard to find. So that's one resource you could use.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that with that Switch firmware, as always, people data mine them and see what's in it, and they found support for a new model, which was labeled the NX ABCD, and NX, of course, is the dev name that we've always heard for the Switch before we heard it was the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And something cool about this is that they're saying that this device supports a secondary display
Of sorts.
So, no clue what that means.
Yeah, that is.
I don't
wild.
think it's VR, just because, like, Labo VR, while cool, it really struggles.
Yeah, I
um,
don't think VR on the Switch is progressing anywhere unless it gets more powerful hardware.
yeah. So, yeah, that would really be the only way to do it. Because, like I said, the Labo VR is really cool. Oh, with that being said, Labo kits are $20 at Best Buy right now.
Oh yeah,
Like all Labo kits, which
and
is
those are great games. They're
yeah.
great time killers,
So
or
I thought
fun
about getting
time
the
killers.
variety kit or something, but anyway, the VR system was cool. It was a lot of fun to put together, but it's been sitting on the shelf since I put it together and just kind of messed around with it for an hour. But I got it on sale for $20 and it was worth it. I had fun for that $20. But it'll be really interesting to see what they do with the second display. It would be awesome if this is
Is this like DS backwards compatibility, or is
something
this
like
trying to be like a second screen for like Wii U games, or what is
yeah.
this?
I don't know. It's very interesting. Um, that's like the only thing. The only thing that comes to mind would be like a DS sort of thing. But at the same time, it's like really people aren't gonna carry around a device that's this big with a clamshell or some other screen. But it'll depend. I mean, if it's just
I
something
don't
it
know. I
clicks
don't know.
on, maybe. But Nintendo's done some weird stuff in the past, so. But I mean, the Switch Lite though is pretty small. So if they do like a Switch Lite with another clamshell on top of it,
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know what they would do with
they
that.
might be able to come up with a form factor clampable system,
Yeah,
and the clamp would kind of aid in the
clamps.
portability just by the fact that it's protecting the screen. So,
Yeah, yeah. Um,
um,
I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see if they do reveal some sort of hardware, or if this is simply a troll, or
yeah,
so.
it's so weird. Yeah, and I can't imagine like if this is a continuation of the Switch, like what does that mean for the games if there is a second screen? Like, is it still a single screen system, or I don't know.
Yeah, unless it's gonna do some sort of like
Do you take it apart and give it to someone else for multiplayer? I don't know.
unless it's some sort of like Chromecast type of deal, maybe. Like you can use like you were saying, like the Wii U, like it would turn your Switch into the gamepad, but then you can still at the same time simultaneously
You can
broadcast
still,
the game on the TV.
well, you'd still be able to dock it, but you'd have the other screen, I guess, or
Not dock it.
I don't know.
You wouldn't be able to dock it. What I'm thinking is,
Uh-huh.
unless the hardware would be like a controller with a screen in it, and then you
What if it
dock it.
detaches?
What I was thinking just now was that it could be another dock.
Okay.
That the Switch somehow has something that communicates with it, and then that so you play with the Switch, but then it's also sending information to this dock wirelessly to play on the screen. But I feel like it would have to be more of a controller now thinking about it, because then the Switch would have to have some sort of hardware to make sure you're having a good connection there to display that wirelessly. So it could be that you dock it and then you've got a pro controller or something that's got a screen built into it. I don't know. Maybe that's what the hardware stands for.
Maybe.
So, don't know. We'll find out. Stay tuned for more
Until,
information.
and hopefully the next podcast will not be 7 months from now, but
No, hopefully not. Had a lot of fun tonight doing this, and I think it was a good podcast, a very long podcast. I mean, we're going on 2 hours and 30 minutes almost, so that's pretty long. It's late, and I haven't talked to anyone outside of like my wife and work for a very long time, so it's a lot of talking for me to do, a lot of rambling, and hopefully
lots of tangents.
yeah, lots of stuff to get into. So yeah, so with that being said, we're gonna cut this one at the end.
Yes, we'll call it quits here, but I guess until next time, everyone, happy gaming.
Check out our streams, our live streams.
Yes.
Patrick will definitely be finishing up Chrono Trigger. I will probably jump into something. I don't know yet. There's a couple things on the table. It just depends on what my commitment level is going to be, and that's the hard part.
Yes. Well, lots of good options. Good options.
Lots of good stuff. So, yeah. So, check that out. Subscribe to us on all your podcast channels. If you like what you hear, leave us a comment. Tell us we suck if you think we suck. That way we know we suck. Comments are always appreciated. Obviously, also comment if you like us. Don't just comment if you think we suck. Comments on YouTube, iTunes, wherever else you can leave one would be much appreciated. So until then,
yeah. Happy gaming, everybody.
Happy gaming. See you guys later.